I always grew up thinking that people who cheat are just evil and that like, there's no excuse for it and it's just like inherent in someone to be a cheater. And I have thought this my entire life up until about 2 months ago, where I don't know what I was doing, but I came across an Atlantic article that Esther Perel had written
Oh,
about,
yes.
why do happy people cheat? And I was like, this is interesting. I've always wondered, like, if you have a great relationship, why do you want to fuck it up? Like, I hope
Mhm.
it's okay to curse, but I'm
Oh,
always like,
please. I'm
yeah.
a sailor at heart.
Okay. But yeah, I've always thought like, what is wrong with you? Like, why would you do that? So I wanted to read her article and see what was being said there. And I thought it was one of the most intriguing pieces that I've read in a while that really elucidated that it's an internal process and it's about someone feeling like there's something missing or there's some pain or something and they're externalizing it instead of like
Mhm.
dealing with it internally, and they don't
Yes,
have those coping tools, and
yes.
so they are externalizing the issue onto either their partner or thinking that they can get what they need from another person.
Mhm.
I just always thought it was like cheating was like, you have red
Vicious.
hair, you have freckles, you're a cheater.
Oh,
Like that's just like you were
you
born
thought it
like
was,
that,
like,
right?
ingrained? Oh, yeah. Ooh, is it
Exactly. Just like
so basically it was nature not nurtured into
exactly.
them?
And I took comfort in thinking I am the kind of person that would never cheat. That is not me. That
Mhm.
I was not born that way. Like that's just not in my nature. But reading that article illuminated that people who take these actions, and it's like a series of so many different actions that you
Mhm.
decide to embark on, they are dealing with some internal issue in they're making poor decisions and they're dealing with this issue in this way, and it's not as if you or I, like just talking to myself, I was like, oh my gosh, maybe that could be me actually. If happy people are cheating
Oh
and
my
there's like no
gosh.
reason for them to cheat, it could be, I guess I could be in that
So
situation one day.
you go into the thought process of, maybe that could be me.
Exactly.
How
Because I was
does that
like,
make you feel?
terrified, really, honestly. Because I always thought, like, I have such strong moral character, I'll never do this. But reading that article really made clear that if you are in a vulnerable enough state and you're not actively working on those tools internally to really heal yourself,
Mhm.
you could fall prey to this. And I don't want to say fall prey as if, oh, you just happened to stumble into cheating. No, you didn't. Like, you have to take accountability, but you could take these actions because you're not sure how else to cope. And I realize I need to learn. I need to learn about what it's like to be in that mental and emotional state because
How else
I
do you
want
prevent it?
exactly. If
How
I
else do
don't
you prevent
know,
it?
if I think I'm so good and I'm so moral, I'm so holy that I would never do this, like if this ever sneaks up on me, I won't recognize it for what it is.
Oh my
And
gosh,
I
you
need to be
get
able to
it.
do that.
You get it. You get it. You get it. You get it. Yes, because how else
Yeah,
do you prevent, right? There's either education or experience. And you
exactly.
get to pick which one. And
Yeah.
I think with the lack of education around why people make the choice to cheat will
Mhm.
ultimately result in you experiencing why people cheat.
Right.
It feels almost like it almost feels destined if you don't get ahead of it. And also what you said about
Right.
how you were like, what makes me of this moral high ground that I would never. I feel like one of the things that I learned after I cheated was anytime I can see a human doing something that I feel like I could never, I have to
Mhm.
realize that I'm capable of it and understanding like how to prevent that from happening. Holy crap,
Right.
girl. You've got
I
a lot of thoughts to share. You've been
thanks,
thinking
yeah.
about this, huh?
No, I have been because it really honestly it rocked my world. Reading those articles and like seeing your TikTok account and some of the other people who are just kind of like experts in like why people cheat. It's really opened my eyes and I'm like, wow, what I know to be true is that shaming does not work. If people want to think about cheating as a societal ill, right? Like
Mhm.
people do this and they shouldn't, and we want to prevent people from doing it, then we need to acknowledge that shaming is like the worst tactic ever. It
I think
doesn't prevent
shame is like
anything.
it perpetuates the act, right? Because you said it earlier. You
Absolutely.
said, it sounds like these people who cheat are inherently ashamed of their wants and desires.
Hmm.
So they go in secret to gratify their wants and their needs because they are
Right.
ashamed of themselves, I think. And
Hmm.
they believe that they will be shamed by others if they were to vocalize what they wanted and, share it with the people that love them. But I
Right.
do have a question for you about that article. What did that article say that had you just, really roped in?
One of the main points of the article is this like giving an example of this woman. Like, I mean, she changed her name and everything, but she was talking about this woman who was having an affair, like perfect life on paper, really affluent, great husband, great kids, really great life. And she just felt like, I'm not happy. I don't feel fulfilled in some way.
Hmm.
And she met up with this person who was like the exact opposite of the kind of person she expected to end up like, like of her husband, just
Hmm.
like someone who, not the same social class or anything like that, right? And that to her, that was like thrilling. And Esther really walked through, like, as this person's therapist, she was walking through her experience with this woman and how she talked about, why she was embarking on this affair. And I think it really highlighted that most people are not really fulfilled in their life. They don't really feel fulfilled in like
Hmm.
all the different kinds of ways that you can be in life. And so to see this woman who seems to have a great life, but she isn't fulfilled in this way, and then she thinks that she's like gaining these things from this affair, and it's making her feel free. It's making her feel like she's always wanted to feel. Like she said that what was really pinpointed was that, as a younger girl, she was just overachieving. She did everything perfectly, straight A student. She was just like
Hmm.
really repressed. And then she felt like she got to have her adolescence back in this affair. And it struck me that not only was this woman like experiencing something she never had, and she was attributing that to the affair instead of
Hmm.
like, I want to be this kind of person in my life and I can take actions in different ways to do that.
Hmm. Hmm.
But the fact that she was a woman doing that is also what struck me. And that's what struck me about your page as well and your community,
Hmm.
that as a woman she is pinpointing a feeling that she's missing. It's something that she doesn't have in her life, and she's deciding to go out and get it. And that to me is incredibly striking, because I feel like women in society are just not encouraged to go after what they want. They're kind of encouraged to grin and bear
Hmm.
their lot in life.
Hmm.
And I
What's
think,
so what's inspiring for you there about it being the female versus a male?
yeah,
Hearing that side of the story, what's inspiring about it for you?
that women are going after what they want. Damn the consequences. And again, I'm saying, like, I made this clear to you in my messages to you. I'm not condoning cheating. I think people
Mm-mm.
really mistakenly label you as a pro cheater. I think that's very stupid. They obviously haven't watched your content.
God, I
But
love you.
but
I this is what I used to do, and then I just got bored of like making fun of people on the internet, so I don't do it as much anymore. But
right.
when people would say that to me, I was like, if I was a fan of cheating, why didn't I have a second affair?
Yeah, you would just cheat on every partner
Yeah.
and get a new partner, cheat on
Jeez.
them. Like,
God. Some
it's
common
very
sense.
right, rudimentary understanding of your content for sure. But oh, I forgot what I was saying. Sorry. I do, but
But the female versus the male, the female
oh,
seeking what she
yes.
wanted, no consequences, fuck the consequences.
Exactly.
Yes.
I'm honestly, men cheating bores the shit out of me. It is
Uh-huh.
like, it's like, okay, and the sky is blue. Like, there's nothing interesting about men cheating for me, because I believe we live in a patriarchy, and men seeing something and believing they have claim to it and going after it is like just so commonplace.
Mhm.
But that's not the case
It's
for
systemic,
women in
wouldn't you say?
society. Exactly. It is. I mean, like, that's what being in a patriarchy is all about, right?
Oh, yes.
But women are not supposed to do that. Women are not supposed to want that. Women are not supposed to go after it. And to see women who, like we said, maybe they are not employing the right tools, but it's not even important. They're like, I need this. Perhaps,
Mhm.
yes, I'm externalizing to some other person, but this is what I want. I'm going to go after it. And I want that happiness. They think what they're seeking is that happiness instead of
Correct.
realizing that it's those internal things they're seeking, but
Correct.
they're going after it anyway. And I'm like,
Exactly.
that fascinates me. I want to
It is.
know, like, how do you decide to get there?
How do you decide to get to a place where you develop the skills that allow you to achieve fulfillment without deceit? Is that what you're asking?
Well, no, I guess I meant all of those things. Like, how do you decide you're going to go after it, even though you know this could be
I
disastrous?
think I think so from experience, it's
Mm-hmm.
when I didn't care about my life anymore. As it was,
Mm,
I did not care about my life anymore.
yeah.
I was definitely in a place where all of my happiness was outside of reach. It was way too far down the road.
Mm-hmm.
And this is how I was just going to exist in the here and now forever. And I definitely had some unhealthy grips on my religion at that point in time, which I think
Oh,
a little bit compounded the
yeah.
difficulty as far as decision making and remaining authentic, really, because I think there comes a point in your life experience where you're no longer having other people tell you who you are. You are
Right.
actually choosing who you are, and you're choosing your belief systems and all of that. And the shame piece, right? It comes into play here too. Would a young girl from a Christian family feel empowered enough to walk into her parents' bedroom and say, "I'm interested in having sex before marriage"? Probably
Right.
not.
No,
You
never
know?
heard of
Like,
that. Yeah.
so yeah, it comes down to a lot of systemic issues that like humans essentially have created, right? If you are the other woman in your relationship and you love this podcast, you would love the Other Women community. The Other Women community is a membership program designed to help other women just like you reclaim their relationship with themselves and heal from their affair. We provide a safe and supportive environment for you to open up and talk about your experiences. We give you the tools and resources you need to grow into an authentic, empowered individual. If you're ready to take the next step in your healing journey, head on over to theotherwomanandthewife.com/community to learn more about the membership and all it has to offer.
I just want to say, as a recovering Christian, I completely
Hmm.
understand that
Yeah.
perspective. And also, I'm sure you've heard of her. I think her name is like Dr. Kathy Nickerson on
Yeah.
TikTok.
Her and I are
Yeah.
connected on TikTok.
Yeah, I've been watching a bunch of her videos too in preparation for this. And one of
Mhm.
the videos she highlighted that, she stitched another creator, another psychologist who was saying that, to her, cheating is a morality issue. And she's like, respectfully disagree.
Mhm.
It's about pain.
Mhm.
People are in a lot of pain and they're trying to cope with it in these different ways. And I thought one of the most interesting things about your response to me in the comments that I initially wrote to you
Uh-huh.
is you had said that you had felt that guilt and shame for far longer than before, prior to your affair. You had been
Yeah.
feeling that guilt and shame.
Yes.
I wanted to tell you, I don't think I told you that the reason I even stumbled upon your page was because found this TikTok of this creator I follow. Honestly, she's kind of judgmental in general, but I like her. Like, I think like she's interesting in different ways,
She's
but
there for entertainment purposes.
right. I won't
Yeah.
mention her name, but I like her. But in this case, she had stitched a video where this woman was like sitting in a car and she's like, no matter how bad life gets, you remember that trend? She's like, no matter
Yes.
how bad life gets, at least I'll never be the affair partner
Oh,
or
yeah.
something like
Oh,
that.
yeah.
And then she stitched that and she said that, like, there's not enough shame happening. Like, people in affairs are not ashamed enough and they need to find more shame and always be ashamed.
Oh
And
my
people
God.
in the comments were like, oh my God, are you talking about that creator, the one who's always talking about her affair? And I was like, who are you guys talking about? And eventually I went down the thread. Eventually someone mentioned your podcast name. And so I went to it. I was like, oh,
Dude, are you sure
interesting.
it wasn't me mentioning the podcast name? Because I
No.
love it. I love going to my own roast parties. I swear to God, they're so much fun. I
Yeah.
show up in the comment section and then they're like, at one point, someone on TikTok was like, can't you just let other people talk about you without you showing up? And I
Oh
was
my
like,
God.
fuck no. Fuck no.
That's
You want
hilarious. Why would I
to,
do that?
yeah. Why would I? Come on.
I have seen
Oh
you
my
go
God.
in on the comments and I giggle every time. So,
Dude, good. Thank you. I am also on TikTok for entertainment. You
yeah.
know? Like I'm there to be entertained.
Right.
Like and
Absolutely.
it is pretty entertaining. Oh man, that was such a freaking good tangent though. I needed that. Can you tell me a little bit like where did your journey kind of land you after you had read that article?
Actually, after I read that, I went on TikTok to just kind of see. I realized I'd never really seen people talking about affairs on TikTok. And that's how I found that initial video that
Uh-huh.
eventually led me to your page. I really wanted to see, because I'm just not trying to watch like 40-minute YouTube videos. So I'm trying to watch TikTok
Yeah,
clips
yeah, yeah.
of people discussing affairs. Never really seen that on TikTok. So I was really searching for that and trying to see people's opinions. Because after I read this, and I was like, wow, this is a 180 from what I've always believed.
Yeah.
Does anybody else, what do other people think about
Mhm.
cheating? And that's how I stumbled upon you eventually.
Yeah.
So yeah, it just kind of led me down this path to see, how are people thinking of cheating. I know most people are really fans of judging, and I've just come to realize in the past like year or so how poorly judging works for anything. Like, people really judge sex workers. I also believe that doesn't work, and it's like saying that they want to help them, and it's just statistically that just their studies just talking about how damaging that is. Like,
Why do you think people are so quick to judge? Like, what do you think is in it for them?
okay, so another example of people judging is like, people who are fat. People judge them and be like, "Well, I'm doing it because I'm concerned about your health."
Mm.
And research shows that that literally is the opposite of helping people. Like, if
Mhm.
you say you want to help them and you want them to lose weight, like shaming and judging them actually not only does it not help them, it drives them to put on more weight. You are doing
They
the
start to
opposite.
resent it.
Right. So,
Yeah.
like, it's literally the outcome you want, you're never going to get by judging
Mhm.
and shaming. So, you have to think about, why are you judging and shaming? And truly, I believe it's because we are just kind of led to, we are driven to feel superior in some way, because that, I think that helps us feel a little bit more less miserable.
Mhm.
And if we feel that we have a leg up on someone morally, or superior in some way, we're like, well, we're not as bad. Like,
Mhm.
I don't have to introspect as much at
Mhm.
who I am, the kind of person, because at least I'm not doing that. And
Yeah.
that's why it's like burying my head in the sand and being like, I would never cheat. Like, that, it just doesn't make sense to me anymore. Now that I know this, I can't act like I can just say, this will never happen to me. I will never do this. I want to believe that I would take different choices, but unless I learn about what it's like, who knows? I don't know.
Mhm. Yeah.
So,
Totally. Do you think that there's more to you wanting to understand infidelity from a woman's perspective, like as it relates to the judgmental piece, right? Like, I feel like in this topic that I've selected, which like I
mhm.
didn't really select, it kind of landed in my lap, to be honest. Anyways, but there being some type of superiority complex, like why do you think you're so interested in understanding from the female perspective
Mhm.
the infidelity that exists?
I think, like, I think I alluded to it before, but just that, how little women are encouraged to truly seek happiness in their life
Mhm.
and to do it by any means necessary. Women are so often encouraged to put everyone but themselves first.
Mhm.
And even if I think, like, an affair is not the best way to go about like trying to seek fulfillment and
Fulfillment,
happiness
yeah.
in your life, the fact that there are women who are putting themselves first this way and are doing it flying in the face of the status quo, it's just so intriguing to me. I want to know at what point they decide going against the societal grain is worth their happiness, because I think so many women hold themselves back from doing that in every way. Like,
Mhm.
oh, I can't dye my hair this color. I'm 60 and that'll look weird to people at work. Or,
It's second
oh,
nature.
yeah, I can't wear this. I'm supposed to be like an elegant, classy woman. So,
Mhm.
just any choice, we're just encouraged to not make it if it's going to make us happy. And
Yeah.
so I'm just so interested by women who put themselves first, who decide that they are more important than anyone else, family, kids included. And this might sound bad to people, but women just do not do this. They don't do this. They're not allowed to. And
Do
so I
you put
want,
yourself first?
yes, I'm fucking
Yes.
selfish. Like I really am. And I really try, I do my best not to hurt people. And I really try to be a compassionate person. I don't have kids. I don't have a partner. So I feel like I'm really happy being super selfish and thinking of myself right now
Oh,
in my
oh.
life. But I'm still
How do
interested.
you make sure it gets implemented in your life that you're putting yourself first?
I've had like lots of conversations, especially with my parents. I think that's been like, I'm kind of at the age where I'm making it clear to my parents, like, this is the life I'm going to live. Like, you don't have any say over anything. Just the other day, but before I moved, I was talking to my mom about like, like recently we met my younger sister's boyfriend. And that was like kind of the first time she's ever brought anyone home. And my mom
Mhm.
was saying, because we're Cameroonian, so we're from West Africa, and she was saying, like, when you guys get someone that you want to marry, you have to bring him and his family to us and like do this whole thing. And I was like, yeah, I love you, mom, but I'm absolutely not doing that. Like, why would I ever do that?
Your approval does not
I
mean shit.
literally, yeah. And she was saying that, like he has to talk to dad. And I was like, I'm not doing that because I said to her, I don't care what dad
Uh-huh,
thinks about my
uh-huh.
partner. Like, I don't give a shit. Like you can meet him, that would be fine, but I don't care about him meeting anyone else. I've already told her
Oh,
like I'm not having kids. You're going to have to seek like your happiness later in your life from something else. Like you cannot.
how did you get to that place? How did you get to that place where it was
Oh
like,
man. I just
my life, my responsibility, my life, my approval?
right. I
Yeah.
It took me a long time. It did because I just thought about like I don't want to do this. And I have these people in my life who have already hinted at being unhappy if I took this path.
Ugh,
But
uh-huh.
I I just can't care because I will be miserable and I am sick of making myself miserable. I want to live my life exactly as I want it. And I'm not going to do it for anybody else. Like nobody's going
How
to
have you
help me
made
do these
yourself
things.
miserable in the past?
Give you a great example. So I went to school. I originally was in biochemistry. You can play the.
Oh,
I don't
okay.
even. I don't even do biochemistry now. I'm a product designer for a tech company.
Oh my gosh, we have a
I
lot of, common threads. Go ahead.
really.
Yes.
Yeah, my whole career path has been very bumpy, and that has caused a lot of friction with my family at different points. I thought I was going to go into school being like a biomedical researcher, figured out hated being in labs, switched to biology. That was a huge problem with my parents. I decided I didn't even want to do science anymore. I went to grad school for human sexuality because I wanted to be a sex educator.
I love you.
Yeah. So I was like, I want to be a sex educator, maybe sex therapist. And then like, that didn't really work out. And I was just like, I don't know. At that point in time, like I just had a lot of people, like really my parents and just kind of others' expectations and trying to figure out like, what are you doing? You need to do this. And I'm just like, I don't want to do this. I know I failed in these other ways, but I know that I'll figure out eventually like what I want to do. I just had to build that conviction over time.
Mm-mm.
It was
Mhm,
very
mhm.
hard and I
How did you
doubt
build that
myself.
conviction? Like, I have one question that I ask myself on repeat to
Mhm.
make sure that that conviction is intact. What do you do?
I imagine waking up like 30 years in the future, like, is this what I want to do? Will I be happy? Can I
Mm.
really see myself doing this? And if the answer is not a resounding yes, it's like, okay, I got to figure out what that is then.
Ugh.
And it took until now thinking like, being in the industry I am as a product designer, I fucking love my job. I wake up happy every day. I'm so thrilled with where I am in life. It's a complete 180 from where I was a couple of years ago. And I know I made the right decision. So
Oh,
I'm learning to trust myself and my gut. And I think a lot of people are seeking that, especially people who are, going into affairs, like they're trying to figure out how to trust that part of themselves and go after what they want.
uh-huh. Yeah, so true. So true. People, so as it relates to infidelity, they'll often ask me, like, how can you trust? Like, they question the trust dynamic between Stan and I, which I'm like, really? Are you really worried about whether I trust my husband or not? Like, turn your
Hmm.
fucking eyes around. But
Hmm.
I always tell them, I say, this whole experience has actually led me to a place where I know that I can trust myself with decisions that I make. Like, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
not the same person I was then, but the greatest, call it win out of the experience was me realizing that I had the power all along to put me in circumstances that either were for my benefit or for my
Hmm.
detriment. And that
Hmm.
like changed everything for me. So it's great.
Absolutely.
It's great to hear you talk about it without having to go through the experience of infidelity.
And I love that that's what you got too. I saw another one of your videos where I think someone had commented something like, "Oh, you think like your marriage was the prize or something like that." And you're like, "My marriage is not the prize. That was not the prize." And yeah, it sounds like exactly what you were just saying. That is the prize. Understanding yourself and understanding like what your needs are and understanding like how to go about it, because that's really what I think. My belief is that everyone who undergoes, or most people who undergo an affair, that's what they're really seeking. That
Mhm,
is the prize. When
mhm,
you have actually attained that,
mhm.
that's your prize.
Yep, absolutely. If you've made it this far, you're likely someone who is invested in the journey of being the other woman. We understand that this can be a difficult and complex experience, which is why we offer guided coaching to help you heal and move forward. We encourage you to explore the links in the episode description or visit theotherwomanandthewife.com/coaching to learn more about our exclusive coaching program and apply today. Thank you again for your support, and we look forward to seeing you in the next episode.